I had some lovely meditation music for the background, but it was kind of quiet, and that rain stick has taken over my life. And some of you have gotten yours recently, or you are looking to purchase one from Custom Pens by Cheryl on Etsy. It's just so relaxing. I didn't want the music to interfere with the rain pen, with the rain stick pen. As always, I am starting my canvas with my darkest color first, which is black. And I have a very large section here. This is the future me looking at what the past me did. And I can tell you that I'm not going to be diamond painting that big of a section. And there was a lot of black, so I will be getting most of the black done, if not all, in this session. April the 27th, from Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. Let there be light. And here's the reading. When Edison was discovering the light bulb, he first engaged in a process of envisioning how an unseeable current of energy could be harnessed and turned into light. Like most of us, the vision came first. Once he understood what came to him, it took quite some time to find the precise material that would work as a filament in the bulb itself. Later, when asked if he ever grew discouraged or thought he was wasting his time, Edison said no. He learned something important each time he tried. He learned that there was another material not to be used. The lessons here are very telling and transferable, especially to how we seek our calling in the world and to how we seek out love. To be willing to envision what we need is powerful and real, and just as crucial is the confidence of spirit to know that it will work, even though we haven't found where we belong or whom to love yet. Equally as vital is the perseverance in trying to find precisely what will work. But perhaps the most inspiring part of Edison's journey is how he didn't view his many attempts as any type of failure on his part, but rather as an inevitable part of the process of discovery. Finally, after all of this, we are challenged, scientists and lovers alike, to use what we will discover and live in the light. At the end of every passage, Mark Nepo will provide an exercise. And for today's exercise, he is asking that you, maybe if you're done painting right now, maybe you want to try this, or maybe you just want to listen, try it later, go back and review it. But to take a moment to center yourself and tune into your breathing and get a vision of what you need to live more fully. I feel like I can answer that rather quickly right now, because what I need is these spaces and time that I carve out for myself. When I don't make that time where I have like not scheduled, but I know every day of my life there needs to be a time during the day where I am quiet, and that allows me to live more fully. As you inhale, commit to trying to find this today without judging what happens. Yeah, I feel that I do have some anxiety when I am looking for that space, like like, because it's not scheduled. I mean, there's the ritual in the morning of getting up, of making the coffee, of coming into my room, of sitting down and journaling and doing my reading and getting, I don't want to say getting that out of the way, but it's something that I need to do. I need to do that. And I told John today, like, you're going to find out at the end of this video where I'm going to come back in and I'm going to make myself an afternoon um, a doze coffee iced. And I'm telling you guys that I spent some time with my husband, and it was very loud and very crowded, and I can't be in that type of environment. I just can't. And he was having a good time, and so I left him, and he was like, well, you sure you don't want to stay? I'm like, John, I just absorb so much, and it becomes like a throat punchy kind of day for me because it's just so crowded and it's so loud. And some people just thrive on that energy where I want to run and hide. It's okay for a little while, but my mind starts to race to everything that I could be doing rather than being in this environment right now where my senses are overwhelmed. So to plan this day was for me, because it was important to my husband, to go and to take and to walk there. It was a pretty long walk. It was like 10,000 steps from my front door to where we were arriving at. So that's how I planned it, to burn off some of the energy that I had and the thinking in the mind, but also to spend that time. Like I had said, yeah, I'll spend a couple hours with you, but part of that was, leaving out the door and then walking back because I needed to decompress. And I also didn't mind leaving him behind because I needed that quiet time. I didn't need someone. I really don't like to take a walk with anyone. I like to have that time where I only hear myself. I'm not listening to anyone else. And that's why in the artist way, it's so important. The tools of the artist way are not just the writing, but also that you take yourself out for a walk, and you do that on your own, and you take yourself out on an artist date, and you do that on your own too, because this is about being with yourself and listening to yourself and not having to make the space for someone else. We make space for everyone all day, every day, for friends, for family, for partners, for children, for employees, for employers, for whatever. And now it's our time to just check in with ourselves and not have to worry, like, oh, this person's coming out for a walk with me. Are they having a good time? Do they want to walk down a different street than I do? Do they want to walk a different, walk than I'm walking? So that's why it's so important. And so that's two of the things that I need to really live a full life. And as you exhale, this is the end of the exercise. It is to commit to making use of whatever it is that you discover. So I think for a long time, I kind of like felt bad making space for myself, or I felt like, oh, well, if you want to come on the walk with me, okay, but I don't. I've discovered that I become a throat punchy kind of a person. I kind of get really annoyed and agitated because I really want that time to myself. I really just don't want to think about or hear anything other than myself. And now that we have cell phones that we could do a voice record memo, and we could, as you're moving your body and you're moving your emotion and you're moving your thoughts along with your walk, you're able to also be vocal about it and speaking to your phone. And that has been another way that I get in touch with, well, what's really coming up? What's really going on? What's really happening with me? And checking in. And so this is what I love about the Book of Awakening, because I read this yesterday and I read it again just now, and I read it again this morning. And I was telling you that in the morning I was like, well, I kind of gotta look at that a different way. And even now, reading it after my day is now coming, it's winding down, and I'm reflecting back on the day, and it has something else that it's brought to me, and it's making me think, Well, maybe my readings really should be where I read them in the morning and maybe in the evening and see if I still feel the same way or if I've discovered something more from, I'm a totally different person by the end of the day. We're constantly changing. And by the time you get to the end of your day and all the things that you've experienced, you've come into different shifts and different thoughts and different perspectives and different opinions, maybe. And so that's something else that I'm discovering just doing this now here with you. But when I was sharing these readings daily with my members, I was opening up my journal and I was taking parts of my journal and I was sharing my writings with them. And so yesterday, when I read this and I decided to write about it from the perspective of it being my 2-year anniversary and launching Awaken with Elisa, this is what I wrote. Today is a special day, a sacred space, a quiet celebration. It has been 2 years since I created my very first YouTube video. I signed up for YouTube 20 years ago, but it's been 2 years since I have been a creator here on YouTube. 2 years since I unknowingly opened the door to this community, to you. 2 years since I followed a small current of energy and trusted it that it would lead me somewhere true. I remember thinking before I sat down to record my first video, I remember just saying, aim for the truth. Today's reading from the Book of Awakening feels like a gift meant just for today. The title, Let There Be Light. Not from the voice of the heavens, but from the quiet determination of Thomas Edison. The quote under the title, just trust yourself, then you will know how to live. There are a lot of times that I open the Book of Awakening and I read the title and I read a quote underneath and I can't get any further than that because I find that I just sit with it. And I did sit with just trust yourself, then you will know how to live. And I think that in trusting yourself, again, it comes back to those quiet walks alone. When you can hear your own voice and you have to do what is best for you. It's great to consider people and to be a considerate person, but you can't live for anyone other than yourself. You just can't. I've tried, and people have their own lives that they're trying to sort out what direction they're going in. And I think the greatest gift that you can give someone, and those of you that have been with me long enough know that when I would go to my grandmother's house and I would visit her and I would be telling her about the latest saga in my life and I would be running like, without a period or a breath anywhere. And I don't even think that she was listening to me half the time because she would just say to me, go and take a walk. You need to go out and take a walk. Go out and take a walk. Because it's that energy, it's that movement, it's that um, you start to siphon off all this frenetic energy that you have. Trust that you know how to live. You know what makes you happy. You know what makes you unhappy. So trust that you know how to live and how to do the things that are going to create your happiness by your own hand, because you're the only one that can do it. When Edison imagined the light bulb, he first had to believe in what he could not yet see. An invisible current, a spark waiting to be born into light. And it's so true that the light bulb is the icon for an idea. It's the vision that we have first, and then how to get there. And I love that when he was asked if he felt like he was wasting his time, he said, nope, I just discovered what wouldn't work. And I found that I had times when I was trying to do things that I had to figure it out for myself, and I had to figure out how to make it work. But also there were times of determination where I had to not accept that someone was telling me, that's not going to work, or you can't do that. I still have that kind of gumption in me when someone says, no, you can't do that, or that's not going to work, or you're wasting your time, or whatever. I just kind of break away from those people very, very quickly. And I move on to people that like to talk about ideas and like to talk about creation. And that has helped me discover not only who I am, but how to create and bring the vision to life. If you have the vision, God is going to give you the provision. Absolutely. Ask and you will receive. Ask and you will be shown the way. For Edison, even as he failed over and over, he did not grow discouraged. Each time he learned, each time he grew, each time he moved closer to the truth of what would work. There was no failure, he said, only discovery. And that feels like my journey too. When I first placed a diamond drill onto a sticky canvas, I didn't know where it would lead. I wasn't even thinking that it would lead anywhere other than completing this canvas, or maybe it wasn't going to be for me and I just went on to something else. I didn't know it would open a path to art. Not only to art, but to also healing and to a connection, to a community, to you. I didn't begin Elisa Maria Designs with a grand vision, but I began to trust the current, to follow the sparkle, and listen to that voice inside me when I went out on my walks, when I did my yoga, when I did my writing, when I watched another creator, when I read comments from that were on other creators' pages. um, I started to see where maybe I could do this. But again, those words have always been with me, to always aim true, to um, not want to do something in a way that someone else did it, but very much in my own way. I can honestly say that every canvas, every video, every kit up, every story shared was a piece of discovery. Just even today, the same reading, different times of the day, discovering different things. And the path, in the beginning, you don't know where you're going. It's like, oh, you're trying to read the signs and they're telling you to go this way, no, go that way, no, go here, no, go there. It would be so easy if there was just a yellow brick road, wouldn't it? And for those of you that find that yellow brick road very quickly, I am so happy for you. But it did eventually start to show itself for me. I didn't know where I was going with all this, especially like when I would go on to other creators' pages and they had thousands of subscribers. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you really doing? But the light and the path just kept growing stronger. And like Edison, I don't think I ever really saw my early missteps or changes of direction as failures. Even as I was saying earlier with Self Care Sunday, I kind of um, stopped doing Self Care Sunday because I was worried about my algorithm. And then it was just like, I'm not aiming true to who I am. And um, I need to do this. And so many of you loved it and enjoyed it and wanted it back too. And that was the path before me, but I didn't know the path before me was going to lead me to a second channel. So there were a lot of parts that were unfolding. And even today, I I hold that light in my hands and in my heart. And I absolutely see it reflected in all of you. So let there be light in the way we create and in the way we connect and in the way we live. And before this Self-Care Sunday comes to an end, I want to thank you all for being part of this beautiful discovery, not just 2 years of Elisa Maria Designs, but even this one moment in time, this one passage of today's reading, this one celebration of 2 years with Elisa Maria Designs. And thank you for shining with me. And as always, create the world that you want to live in. And start by carving that time out for yourself, even if it's 5 minutes. Really, what I used to do when I lived in New York? I always leave you guys with a tip. I'd run in a church. That was my secret. I ran inside churches where there was quiet, and I took my journal out and I would sit and I would write for a few minutes. And, that's how I began creating my world. And I wish the same for you guys also, that you have these moments where you can escape into some really delicious silence. And even if it's just close your eyes and just see that vision unfolding on the inside of your eyelids. And maybe you already have that vision, and maybe being here today is where you say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start. I'm just going to do it. It's so true. When you hear people say, I didn't know where this was going to go. I didn't know where this was going to lead. I didn't know what I was doing. But if I can do it, you can do it. And God knows if I can do it, you can do it. I'll be saying goodnight to Ivan here. I basically only got a black outline done, but that's the discovery, right? Don't take big sections. Keep it simple. Hi, welcome back. I took a break after Self-Care Sunday and I went to a South Philly festival on East Petchogue Avenue, and it was reminiscent of being back in New York. It was just so crazy, so many people, that I ditched John and was like, you stay, I'm going back home. And being that I'm home now, I have a little bit of warm water in my cup. Let me get the orientation so that you can see what I am doing. Okay, so now that we have the orientation where you can see what it is that I'm doing, I have a little bit of hot water in here because it has never been my experience that almond milk will froth because it has no fat in it. And that's why your 2% milks and your low-fat milks all foam really well, because they have to bulk up what they're taking out of it with sugar, and so it will froth better. But almond milk doesn't have any really fat in it. They take to froth up well enough. So this is just some warm water. I'm gonna make my doughs for the afternoon, because I am telling you, that whole event, I was just like, oh my God, I can't. And it really is frothing nicely with the warm water. One dose. And then what I am going to do is, let's put this lid back on for one thing. I'm going to put a little bit of agave in here. I know people drink it just like this. They drink it with water. Here comes the sun. As I told you, cardamom. I'm at I'm using my back camera, so of course what's holding my camera up is away. My end of the day doze. Oh my God. With the almond milk and the cardamom. Oh my God. And the evening sun, it's about 5 o'clock. So Self-Care Sunday is turning into a get yourself together for Monday kind of a Self-Care Sunday. Create that Monday in your mind. Get yourself ready for Monday. Get your stuff ready. Get as much done as you can now so that you can comfortably relax and free your mind from, Monday coming and not being prepared for it. I always loved when I took some time the night before to get my stuff laid out, what I was going to be wearing, what Josh needed in the morning, even if I could prepare some stuff for him so that he could get out the door. What else? Just to have myself together. Where are my keys? Where is my, now everybody has a Metro card or whatever. Back in the day, we had tokens. Is there enough gas in the car? Whatever would stress me out in the morning. Like keep a little log of what stresses you out in the morning, and just see if you could do something about that the night before. Get it done so that your morning can run smoothly, and that is creating your day. That's creating your day. That's creating the world that you want to live in. I want to live in a world where I get up on Monday morning and I'm not pulling my hair out because it's the beginning of the work week, or even a beginning of a vacation. You know, you guys know that I went on vacation on a Monday in the rain because we didn't check to see what the weather was. Two of us, Gubad, we went out the door. You know, he didn't check to see if his air had enough tires, so we had to stop. He didn't check to see if he even had gas in the tank, you know. And his friend was saying, John, like, why didn't you do all this the night before? I don't know. I mean, it was the only thing that I think AAA didn't do for us was like say to us, they gave us a roadmap. You know, they planned where we were going to stay and all, and how many miles we would travel, but they didn't, I guess they didn't think that they had to tell us, like, make sure you check to see if you have gas in the car. And if you have air in your tires, because you're going to be traveling for a while. But, you know, I mean, it could be anything that you're doing tomorrow. You know, it could be, you know, even having a day off. Create your day off. Create how you're going to get up in the morning and what you're going to do. And then check in and see, do I feel like it still? You know, I would create my yoga classes. I taught on a Sunday, I taught on a Tuesday, and then I filled in, I taught on a Thursday. But, you know, when I would walk into my class and if my students looked like they fell from a building and landed on their mat, I'd be like, oh, we're not doing that plan today. They look like they need, you know, some rest. Or if they came in and they were like, da, 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 I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna take this chattiness right out of you. I had to like wind them down. So yeah, you can create your day, but you can also say, well, that was yesterday and we're not living in the past. We're living in the now. And you know what I created yesterday? Maybe I'm not feeling it today, but maybe I am, you know? So check in with yourself. Have a wonderful week. I love new beginnings. I love Awaken with Elisa. 4 of you have subscribed already. And I'm like, I remember when I had 4 subscribers with Elisa Maria Designs. And now I'm looking at it so much differently. And I'm so excited for a new channel. Where's it going to go? What is the journey? And how is the path going to unveil itself to me? I love all those new beginnings. I have some things that I can plan. And you guys know I don't like anything but a plan B. I don't really like to make a plan, but it'll be interesting to see what works, what doesn't work. Just like Edison, you know, everything is just, nothing is a failure. Everything is a discovery. So discover this week. Leave me a comment. Let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling. And if you want a little bit more of this Self-Care Sunday, then please hop on over to Awaken with Elisa. And if you're already with Awaken with Elisa and you want a little bit more creative art, come on over to Elisa Maria Designs. I'll be in both places. I love you guys. Create that world that you want to live in. Start with your day. And I will see you as always in the next one. Bye.